Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the channel, Dream It, Make It. Today, we're gonna be making some ribs on the Oklahoma Joe's Marshal. Let's get into this. All right, so I've got 2 racks of ribs here. One of them is actually gonna go on the Tahoma, but for this video, we're gonna focus on the rack that's going on the Marshal. I will be going through the process of how I smoke on the Marshal. Now I did go ahead and I've got the charcoal lit up in the Marshal. The temperature's at 245. We're gonna be smoking these ribs at 250. And so that's really close. We are gonna add I'm gonna add a wood split to that. It's probably gonna bring the temperature up, but the charcoal is already in there. It's going. I didn't put a ton of charcoal in there. I'll show you that here in just a minute, what that's looking like. But we're gonna go ahead and get this rack of ribs seasoned up and get it on the smoker.
So let's go do it.
My buddy AJ's gonna help me out today, so we're gonna get these seasoned up. Try to get an even coat all the way across. Oh, good job, good job. Start at the front and go left and right. All right, so the rack of ribs is ready to go on. I haven't done anything else. It's still just charcoal in the smoker. We're gonna get that wood split placed on here in just a moment. AJ, you wanna put these on? Okay, so grab. Don't drop them. You drop them, we can't eat. All right, come on. Okay, you're gonna place them. Hold on, don't put them on there yet. You're gonna place them right across here, okay? Keep going. Yeah, right there. Now, with 2 hands, I want you to scrunch them up.
Is this hot?
No, it's not hot. You haven't been, put your hands on the very ends. There you go, there you go. Okay, scrunched them up. Grab it and pull it to the front just a little. I don't have my glove on or I'd do it. All right, so the ribs are on there. Now we're gonna go ahead and get the smoke flavor added. All right, so it's been an hour on the ribs, so I'm gonna go ahead and head over to the Marshal and get these checked out. They are looking good. All right, let's just continue to let them smoke. Shut that lid back down. All right, so the Marshal has been running about anywhere from 225 to 275. When I add a split, it comes up to 275 and then it comes down, it'll drop down to about 250. And then once it drops all the way down to 225, I go ahead and add another split onto it and it continues that process. I am actually on my 2nd split in the smoker right now and it's running really well. That 250 to 275, that swing is not an unnatural swing, especially for smokers like this. It just happens even on offsets. You add a wood split, the temperature climbs, especially smaller backyard offsets, a temperature will climb and then it'll drop and then you add your next split. It's just the way the process works. So it's running really well. So I'm gonna go ahead and set another timer for an hour. Set a 1-hour timer. Got it. And I'll check back with you then. All right, so my timer just went off. It's been another hour and wanted to go ahead and update you on the Marshal real quick. So the Marshal has been running still that 225 to 275 range. I have found that, and I haven't done like a ton of cooks on the Marshal. I'm only a few cooks in, but so far I have found that getting those temperatures dialed in is not as easy as I would like. Getting that consistency of when to put the next log on is kind of difficult, and it's not as easy as the offset, to be honest with you. I find the offset easier to run, the reverse flow offset easier to run than the Marshal, But the Marshal, I mean, it's doing a great job. It doesn't go through a bunch of wood. It really doesn't. It's running its third piece and it's doing a great job. So with that being said, if you're looking at the Marshal, just know that it is one of those smokers that you got to put the time in. You got to put the work in. You can't just set it and forget it. So be mindful of that. Timer set for another hour. In another hour, that will be the 3-hour mark, and I will be checking on those ribs. We will be checking to see if it's time to wrap. It may be time to wrap before that. I'm gonna keep an eye on those ribs, but I'll check back with you as soon as I make another change. 273 right now is what it's running at. All right, so it's just been a few minutes since I last checked with you, like 5 minutes. And I've decided, because of how hot the smoker is running, I'm gonna go ahead and get these ribs up to the shelf. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. These are gonna be hot. I've got them up on the shelf now. I'm gonna cook them up here. I'm gonna try to get them a little further away from the heat because the smoker is just running too hot. It's not as low. I could get it low, but it would not be smoking the way that I need it to smoke. It'd be smoking a little too dirty. And so to keep that smoke clean and have more of an open flame, I want to bring those up to the top. So this is something that you could go ahead and put a water pan under there, and that would help disperse the heat on that lower rack and protect it, and you'd be able to run more of an open flame. But I didn't run the water pan method today. I'm running it just how it comes. And so that means we're gonna get these ribs to the top shelf. I'm gonna go ahead and get this lid shut down. There we go. See what this temperature is gonna do, because it was running around like 290. And that's just too much, and that's because I had to get those flames kicked up because it was running too dirty. It was just too dirty of a smoke. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and see how this temperature is going to adjust, how these ribs are going to continue to cook. Those ribs really started to kind of curl because the heat was so hot, and therefore that's why I'm taking them to the shelf. I'm probably going to move forward with cooking on the Marshal. I'm going to run a water pan all the time. It's just going to be the best way to run the Marshal, is having a water pan down there, a big water pan, wide as you can get, and fit it in that chamber. That's how big of a pan I'm going to be using, so that way we can run more of an open flame. See how the smoke has cleaned up. It is no longer just billowing out, and so that is the kind of flame and the kind of smoke that I want to be running most of the time. A little dirty smoke every now and again when you toss something on, that's fine. But for the majority of the time, we need to be running pretty clean, and that means we're gonna have to have that open flame, and that's what we're doing now. So I'll check back with you again if anything changes. Continue to hang out with me. We will get to the end and we will see how these ribs turned out. Okay, we are 2 hours and 15 minutes in on this cook. And these ribs on the Marshal are probing right around 198 to 200. Now, you would think that that is close and that they're about to be done. I want you to be mindful. 2 hours, 15 minutes. That means because they're cooking so fast, they're not gonna pull at their normal range. The temperature in the ribs doesn't really matter all that much. You really want to have that probe tender in the ribs, so that way you have a nice good bite through rib. We're not going for fall off the bone, but a nice good bite through rib. But like I said, the smoker has been running hotter than what I wanted. You know, I wanted that 250 mark, but to get the clean smoke, it's been pushing 275, 300, having that clean smoke without that water pan like I talked about. So let's see what it's at right now. It's at 273 is what it's showing, 274. And it's running clean though, running real clean. We're gonna go ahead and continue to cook, and I'll check back with you. Actually, before I let you go, the temperature on the gauges are showing 250. That's the temp on this gauge. This one's showing 250. This one is showing probably 240-ish on that temp. And so, but at that grate level, it is 272 right now. So 250, 240-ish, 272 is actually right there by the ribs at grate level. So that's what it is. Be mindful, these gauges are not what the grate level is showing you. So I always encourage you to buy an external temperature readout like the Inkbird. I'll leave a link down in the description to this Inkbird. This has been amazing. It's 5G, it's super fast. I had to leave real quick and run to the store, which was only a couple minutes away, and back. And while I was there, I had it up on my phone, watching the temperatures the entire time, knowing that it's giving me a very accurate and quick readout. So the Inkbird is awesome. Check that out. And I'm running it to the Marshal and the Tahoma to see what those temperatures are doing. But I'll check back with you here in just a little bit. All right, so these ribs have gotten a little darker than I would like. I was hoping to go unwrapped the whole way, but we gotta get these wrapped up. Got them wrapped up, back on the smoker. They are feeling pretty loose. Let's get them back on. Actually, the way they feel and the way they just probed, I'm going to go ahead and let these just start resting. I feel like they are good and tender. So we're just gonna set these aside, let these rest, and we'll cut into them here in a little bit and see what they're like. All right, so the Marshal ran really well. I couldn't get the temps down to where I wanted them, that 250 range, because the smoke would have been just too dirty. And so to keep that smoke clean, I had to, of course, run at a higher temp. So there's two things we can do here. That's 4 if you count all 4, but 2 things that you can do here. You can run your water pan in it, like I've talked about, and that will help a ton. Or you can do wood chunks with a bigger amount of charcoal in there and just run wood chunks instead of running wood splits. So there's different options to the Marshal. I'm gonna be figuring this out. I really like running smaller charcoal with a wood split with a water pan. I should have ran the water pan in this cook, but I didn't. I wanted to see how I could manage the temps without it. It's not possible. Water pan is a must. So we're gonna go ahead and let these rest. Then I will go ahead and slice into these and we'll get a taste.